Hello and welcome to this tutorial on the basics of Vuforia in Unity. I have Unity 2018.3.6 F1 here. You don't have to have that specific version, but you should have a latest copy of Unity if you're working with it. However, if you're using Unity 2018.3 forward or 2018 in general, I think everything here should be about the same for you. Just know that interfaces do change in between versions of Unity. So now I'm going to create a new project, and I'm going to put this into my tutorials folder, and I'm just going to name this Vuforia Basics. And create the project. Now in previous tutorials I've shown how to basically get going in Unity, how to understand the editor, and there will be links in the description of this video for other tutorial resources like that. And also I will make another tutorial after this one all about publishing Vuforia out to an Android device. That link will also be in the description. So while we're waiting for Unity to get loaded up, we actually have to create an account on the Vuforia website. So Vuforia comes with Unity when you install it, but I'm going to show you here. If we go to developer.vuforia.com, this is where you would manage your license or any paid for components of Vuforia, but we're going to use the free version today. So if you come here, you'll want to register if you don't have an account already. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account. Okay, so right away we have to have a developer key to even get started. So we're in the license manager component of our account after you're logged in, and I'm going to go ahead and say get development key, and right away we have to name it. Okay, and then by default they give you access to a free license and a whole bunch of features here. We're going to just do development today, so hit confirm and then go ahead and look for your license by clicking on it, and you're going to get this serial code here that's like almost like a paragraph long. You want to copy this entire thing. Okay, copy to the clipboard, and back into Unity here we need to actually set up our editor to work with Vuforia. So by default, if you open up a Unity project, most likely it's going to be set up to be, targeting the PC, Mac, or Linux standalone platform like a desktop application. So we need to now set this to work with Android. So I'm going to click on Android in build settings, and to get to build settings I went file, build settings, and once you have Android selected you want to say switch platform. That's going to go through all of your project's code and just make sure that it's all compatible and give you any warnings that might come up from that. And you'll also notice this Unity logo switches to Android now. So we can close this, and now we have a sample scene that Unity gives us right away to work with a main camera and a directional light inside. We can get rid of the main camera itself because we want a Vuforia camera. So go to Game Object, Vuforia Engine, AR camera, and it's got to import some of the Vuforia assets from your hard drive, which is part of like what comes installed with Unity when you first install it. By the way, when you install Unity for the first time, you do have to check the box in the installation for what components you need, and specifically you need to check the one for Vuforia Engine. That's also covered on a previous tutorial called Unity Introduction and Terrain Tool. There's a link for that in the description. I'm going to click import, and there also will be a license agreement dialog that pops up, so we have to accept that, which you can also read it online. There'll be a link for it. Okay, so the license agreement didn't come up. I must have already accepted it and it's stored on my computer or something, or maybe it'll come up later. But anyway, I'm going to click on AR camera, and then in the inspector you're going to see that you have essentially just a camera here, but it's got this like Vuforia behavior script. And then right here there's a caution saying Vuforia is not enabled. Enable Vuforia in the player settings. So let's go to player settings, which you're going to find if you go to build settings, so file, build settings, player settings, and then over here on the right you're going to see all these different settings for Android. Open up XR settings and check the box that says Vuforia Augmented Reality. This is probably where the license agreement will pop up. Nope, guess I was wrong again. Anyway, let's go ahead and head back into your AR camera. So select it and then choose Open Vuforia Engine Configuration. And there we have it. This is the configuration document, I guess, that you can work with. And right away, the app license key is what you have to paste into here. So Control V or Command V if you're on a Mac, and then you can just press enter. You don't have to press this add license button. All this does is take you to the website on where you can log in to your Vuforia account. Once this is in here at runtime, when you run your app, it will actually go out to the internet and double check with the Vuforia servers to make sure that you have a licensed application before it even runs. If you don't have this in here, you'll run your app and it'll just be blank. It won't actually tell you that the app isn't licensed. Okay, so we need an image target to augment on. So right away I'm going to go ahead and just go to like Google image search, and I'm going to search for a let's say a QR code, I guess. Let me not do a QR code. Let me say I'm going to augment on a architectural blueprint. So I'll just put in I should probably do it. Well, we're good. Architectural blueprint. Okay. So we'll go with this here. Well, one that doesn't have a watermark, I guess. And then I'm going to save this image, and I'm just going to navigate to wherever my Unity project is. So I've got a lot of folders in here, but it doesn't matter really where you place it, just as long as you know where you can find it again. So I'm going to put this in my Vuforia Basics folder above the Assets folder. Save that. Okay, now I'm going to go back on the web and into the developer portal. And now, while logged in, I'm going to be on Target Manager, which is right next to License Manager here. Add a database, and I'm going to call this Vuforia Tutorial. And I'm going to leave the type as device instead of cloud or viewmark. Create. Oh, I already have one of these, so I'll just put 2. Create. There we go. I have a lot of targets in here. If this is your first time, you're probably just going to have one. Vuforia Tutorial 2. Now, once you click on it and go inside, it's going to show you that you have no targets in there. So we want to add a target. And all we're going to be working with in this tutorial are single image targets. You could explore cuboids, cylinders in the Vuforia, I think it's called Library. If you're on the developer Vuforia page and you go into Library, they have like text and image based tutorials on how to work with these other types here. But this is just a sort of an entry level tutorial that I'm giving here to help you get started. So anyway, going into my folder, I'm going to find that image that I had. So that blueprint, architectural blueprint, open. Width is sort of confusing unless you're trying to match real world coordinates. I just tell people to use 10. That actually is 10 meters, so it's quite large, but if you were matching your augmented reality with a real world item, you'd want to measure the size of the image that you're going to be augmenting on. So for instance, if you have a poster board, you'd want to measure the side of it for the width and convert that to meters and put that value in here. Add. So the status processing means that Vuforia's cloud is actually processing this into a database. If you refresh the page, you'll actually see that that finishes and you get a rating back. Don't sweat it if you don't get 5 stars for the rating. Generally, things augment pretty well if you get a star or anything at all. So I'm not going to worry about the rating, and I'm going to check that and hit download database. If you did want to make your target better, some people will actually throw just QR codes in it, like in Photoshop, like on the picture itself. Not necessary, but it does make the tracking operate a little bit better. Basically, you want to add contrast. That's what like gradients aren't picked up, but contrast is what's picked up. So when I hit download, that came up with I could use Android Studio, Xcode, or Visual Studio, or Unity Editor. We're working in Unity, so check that. Hit download. It will download a Unity package, and I'm going to go ahead and open up a file browser and place this in the right spot. So I'm going to once again locate my Unity project. Actually, I'm not going to do this. This is pretty easy to do here. I was doing that for organization purposes, but if you go to Assets back in Unity and you say Import Package, Custom Package, you can go to wherever your downloads are, or wherever that came in, and then locate. It'll look like a Unity icon for the Unity package. So mine was called Vuforia Tutorial 2, so I'm just going to open that. And it unzips it and creates this sort of dialog to show me what's coming in. And I'm going to just say Import. Okay, so now down in my empty project here, we've got the Vuforia folder that came in when I brought the AR camera in, and now streaming assets came in, and that's, and then resources. That's, see, I think it's just streaming assets, and then some of the Vuforia folders got changed when you added your own targets. Just so you know if you ever have to delete things. All right, now with our AR camera, we should be able to detect that image if it's shown, but we don't have that image as something to augment in our scene. So we need to make that by right-clicking in your hierarchy or going to Game Object, Vuforia Engine, and going to Image. It's just called Image or Image Target. And by default, the image came up as the image that we brought in. Okay, so one of the things I noticed right away is this is truncated. It's been squeezed kind of in this this odd direction here horizontally, which I don't like. The image has an aspect ratio to it that isn't square, I don't believe. Or no, actually, never mind. Forget that. It actually is properly scaled. So I guess I'll edit that part out. So right away, the image target found the streaming assets that we brought in, which would be your database of recognition for this image. So now, anytime you point your cell phone, or here in Unity your webcam, at this picture, it should augment off the surface of it. But there's nothing to augment yet. So right away we can just say Game Object, 3D Object, Sphere. Put that sphere on top of this somewhere, right? And right now it won't work because the sphere is just a peer game object to the image target. So we have to make it a child of the image target by dragging it on top of the image target. You see it indents, and then also you can close and open the image target. Now that's all you need to start the augmentation. On AR camera, if you go to Open Vuforia Engine again, there's a section down here that's usually closed called Webcam. If you twirl that open, you should see an auto-recognized camera device right here. So I have a webcam that I'm talking into right now that I'll go, if I hit play, I should be able to see through it. So you're going to see essentially my screen here. So let me bring up on my desktop the picture of that target. So let me navigate to my project, and there it is. So once I bring it up, you can see right away the ball is augmented right on the surface of that target, and it tracks quite well just from sort of a USB webcam here. So this is a way for you to debug your code later on as we start to learn how to code with Vuforia, or even just see if things augment properly. I could actually in Unity match up the ball or any other furniture with some of the items here that are inside of the blueprint. So like say you were doing an architectural model and you had, say, IKEA furniture, and you had 3D models of that IKEA furniture, you can match that up right there. Or steel case chairs, you can match those up right there. And then you would have sort of a nice three-dimensional augmentation of what this blueprint is representing. Okay. Oh, one last thing I forgot to mention with that is, if you notice, I'm going to scale this image down. It continues to function. It's just now that the scale changes, the ball actually changes. So this is what I was saying about matching real-world coordinates. With a screen, I can change the shape of the image. It's not printed out as a piece of cardboard. And whatever you augment to it will always stay the same size in relationship to the size of the image target. So that's kind of neat. If you're working with a touch screen and you're augmenting a touch screen, you can sort of make the interface of the touch screen allowable to scale the image, and then you can actually, in essence, scale the 3D objects. So that's everything for augmenting with Vuforia. You can get started and scale off of that. One just quick thing I will do to get something else augmented on here other than a ball, I'll go and import the Poly ToolKit. So that's everything involved with augmenting something simple like a sphere. You can expand on this and put many other things under here. I'm going to go ahead and import an asset, or from the asset store, a thing called Poly ToolKit. And this is a Google plugin for Unity that allows you to interface with the Google Poly website. So I'm going to import this. The reason I'm doing this is just because I don't want to continue using basic spheres or cubes or planes that Unity has to offer. I want to actually find some 3D models on the internet, like a car or maybe even furniture, to put in this augmentation. You don't have to follow along and do this Poly ToolKit installation, but this is kind of a neat way to prototype things and show people what you're capable of. Once Poly ToolKit is imported, you can go back to Scene View, and first thing you have to do to get Poly ToolKit to work is go to your player settings, so File, Build Settings, Player Settings, and then go to your Other Settings section here. Look for a checkbox that is called Allow Unsafe Code. This allows the plugin of Poly ToolKit to contact the Poly website servers. So it's just a security measure that Unity prevents, but if you allow it here, it should function fine. So as soon as you allow that, by checking that box, these two windows pop up. You can close this one here, it's just a welcome screen, and then the other one's the actual tool itself. So I'm going to dock that on the right side of my screen. And then for this blueprint here, I kind of want to actually have some furniture, so I'm going to search for table and chairs. There's a table and chairs there. I suppose I'll pick this one here. So then you just want to say import into project. I'm not even sure if that is a table of chairs, but hopefully this illustrates my point. Let's go import something else as well. So maybe this end table, import into project. I'm not saying you're going to find everything you need off the Poly ToolKit website, but you're just going to find items that are more interesting to look at than just a sphere, cubes, things like that. Okay. So that's it for now. I'll just import a couple things, and then if I go down in here to the Poly folder that was generated when I imported those items, under assets you're going to find them as prefabs. Okay, so like if I take this table here and drag it into the scene, luckily it was scaled just about, kind of close to like what maybe the tables are there. You can rescale this stuff as needed because you're not sure what the creator, what scale they were using when they created it. So I'm just going to go ahead and move this, I guess like right here where this rectangle is here. I'll say that's the table. That's probably a chair, but oh well. So I'm going to make that smaller, match it, look at it from different angles so that it matches. There we go. Close. And you could, of course, if you had the real furniture, continue to map off of this. That's not going to augment again. So what I wanted to show you here is a second object. You just have to drag it back on top of image target. Let me try that again. There we go. So now image target has two children, the sphere and that table. I'm going to get rid of the sphere. And let's bring our other item in. This doesn't really look like a table and chair, so I'm going to ignore that item. And let me just search for table. How about chairs? chair. There's a chair. Import into project. You don't have to use Google Poly to import items like this. As long as it's an FBX or a Collada file or an OBJ file, you should be able to get it to work in Unity without much modification. So I'm dragging this chair into the scene. It's below everything, so you have to reposition once again. And I'm going to just position it to match sort of like what I think is a dining room table and rotate it. You can do this more if you're using like 90-degree angles and you're not necessarily as comfortable with rotating and zooming like I am here with the 3-button mouse and the keyboard hotkeys. You can hit this this kind of axis item up here, and it will take you to the different axes. And to get to your object so that it's in the screen, you just select it here in the hierarchy, press F, and that will put it right in the center of the screen, and then you can click these and change from different axes. Also, you'll notice you're in the perspective confirmation, so we see kind of like stretched angles here. So if we press that, the top, it's now isometric, so we can sort of line things up exactly. Okay, looks good. All right, I'm going to duplicate that chair, put another one over on the other side. So -90. There we go. And then I added this chair and this chair, so we need to make sure they're children of image target as well. There you go. Save that, press play. And there, we have furniture lined up and they match. So you see, you don't have to have a very large item. The tracking works pretty well, and you can have lots of items. You could script these items, you can animate these items, and they will augment and animate, generally become interactive. Keep in mind you are probably building Vuforia for either an Android device, touchscreen, or a iPhone, or even a HoloLens. So you have to consider input as a kind of a challenge with this, but at least getting augmentations going off of an image target are quite easy to get started with. And keep an eye out for the next tutorial where I actually will show you how to publish this application to a device. If you need any help from the Advanced Visualization Lab, you can contact us at bizhelp@iu.edu.